Sam, thanks for joining us on the show. As always, I can see you're chilling at home on a Sunday night, just hanging out today. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I've been working all weekend, but like at the same time as I'm working, I'm also currently just trying to perfect all the lyrics to album number 5, which I go to record vocals for this Thursday,
What?
which is going to fuck me up because you're going to ask me questions about album number 4, which is out like in a couple of weeks, and I'm just going to be like mixing up the two, like the senior citizen I am. But I'm really good. Everything's great.
That's good, dude. That's good because the new not number 5. We're gonna backpedal to number 4 right now.
Yeah.
Man, Enemies Sound Like Me, August 11, and it's just as brutal as the previous effort. Going by my memory though, as we mentioned, this was recorded. Was this one recorded at the same time as 3, and 5 was recorded at the same time as 4? What, 4?
No, not quite. I think the way we did it, we recorded albums 3 and 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
Or at least all the instruments. So like we just had this massive sack of death metal, and we actually had this really tricky kind of few weeks where we were sort of like going, okay, which song goes on which album? We didn't want one to be like, heavier or weightier or better than the other one, like, so yeah, we did all the instruments for it. I did the vocals like a year apart. Like I always make a point of separating that. But yeah, this is the one where we sort of like just did this mega session. And it's sort of come out of the same session as album 3.
There we go. I grabbed it. There we go. That one. That one.
Yeah, that's the one.
You can notice a bunch more stuff when you see the album covers. Like this dude in the corner, he's like, ha, 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 ha.
Yes.
But fucking love this album. Needs a scribble on it.
Thank you. If you get the magnifying glass out, sort of, I think there might be a big gatefold in there. If you get the magnifying glass out, especially on the mountain of corpses, there's the artist Mitchell is a nutcase. Like there's all sorts of bizarre, crazy shit that you can find in there. It's like a Where's Wally for like psychos.
I love it. I love it. And every album cover, like the new cover, is even crazier than that one. There's more shit going on, and I've been trying to zoom in. I want to get that on vinyl as well because I've been trying to zoom in and see all the stuff going on. But he did that one as well, right?
He did, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'll get my vinyl this week, I think. But yeah, like again, you zoom in, like there's a big overarching theme which sort of like matches the album, which is kind of like two identical groups of people sort of like having an absolute screaming violence match between each other, for absolutely zero reason at all. But yeah, it's the same deal where if you like sort of get the eye up and close and into it and stuff, like you're just like, holy shit, I'm glad he's down on Tasmania, like instead of roaming around on the mainland with the rest of it. But I think my favorite bit on that is the guy right in the very middle killing himself with 2 Uzis, and he's just spraying them both like in both hands, like in his head with a big grin on his face. It's
man,
yeah. My parents won't be proud, but like all the death metal fanatics will see it and they'll get a good warm fuzzy from that.
It's weird, isn't it? I love it. It's like, I can't remember who I was talking to, but it's like the metal albums these days are like classic paintings compared to like 20 years ago. Death metal stuff was like, just straight up gore. You still get it now, which is all the classic stuff. But this stuff you could somewhat see in a gallery. You know what I mean? Like it's cool shit, man. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the old Dan Seagrave stuff as well, but like basically, death metal was a one-man show art-wise back then. Whereas you got so many people all doing their own thing now, and the range of tools that you've got is far greater as well. So yeah, I think we're lucky to get Mitchell, but I'm also thinking geez, we need to think up like a really different concept for the next album. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, people will be leafing through their CDs going, which Werewolves album do I listen to? The Bloodbath or the Massive Massacre and Bloodbath on the front, or maybe the one with the blood.
Or the death, or the baby being thrown in the hole. I don't know. It's I love it, dude.
I love that.
I do, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. But at the moment, like I'm really enjoying what I've been listening. I went for a drive to Brisbane yesterday, and I was cranking in on the way to Brisbane to see Eagles of Death Metal, of all things that aren't death metal.
Yeah.
But man, it was. I know. I was like, this is kind of weird. But it usually takes bands, to reach even album number 4. It seems like a decade, and you guys have just been smashing these out. I think it's to the point now we can pretty much count every year you're going to release an album, right? It's like
that's the plan.
Man, I think you need a subscription. You guys should set up like a National Geographic type subscription where, if you subscribe for a few years, you get a free tea towel and like you know what they used to do? They get the shelf things they hold the magazines on the shelf. Do it for the full and have either side will be like arrows pointing shit albums, even more shit albums. Six shit pointing down, so it'll just be all your stuff in like special edition box or shelf talker.
Yeah.
I'm just riffing.
I know you just like spitballing and you think you're joking here, but I'm seriously taking this idea to Matt and Dave. Like, I was going to say a subscription model will work perfectly. I mean, geez, it's just about how we work with the record label. It's kind of like subscribe to us for a certain amount and you get an album each year.
Pre-order the next 6 albums and you can have, you know what I mean? I don't know. And that way
I've heard worse ideas and no one else is doing it, which is always, to me, that means an idea is always worth a try. But yeah, like there's people with bigger brains making decisions above me, so I'd have to float it past them first.
I'm below here, so don't listen to me. So, but I would like a tea towel. So
that's right. Look, the idea comes through, you get a tea towel and a flag.
That would be cool. Flag and it, something I can do my dishes with guts all over it. That'd be cool. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's Sunday, but what was I talking about? Oh yeah, of course. But the process of recording these albums, have they changed as they've gone along? What have you sort of mixed up, or is it just the same sort of
same old shit every time? We're just grinding it out every year. Yeah, look, I exaggerate a little bit. So for album 4, like, the instruments recording is pretty much how it's been for like previous albums. The writing was a little bit different in that it was kind of like Matt had an extra large sort of like spasm before he like blurted out all that material. And it meant for me, it meant like an extra long sort of like instrumental rehearsal sort of stage to try and get across his crazy shit. But no, we've kind of like got a bit of a routine these days. The only thing which is changing, and that will be for album 5, is this time I recorded the bass at home.
Okay.
Instead of flying over to Melbourne to do that. It's death metal bass. I mean, no one can fucking hear it. Like,
I can hear it.
Who cares?
I can hear it.
Yeah,
man, don't, man, you're a fucking sick player, and to do that, and sing, man, some of the stuff on there is insane. It's so good.
Thank you very much. But honestly, like, I've played shows where like the bass has come unplugged and no one's noticed until we're between songs and I'm just trying to fill like dead air in by stirring the bass, and suddenly I realize no sound's coming out and I'm like, whoops. So it's not exactly the thing that the crowd sort of like goes, when it disappears. So yeah, I know its place. If we're a funk band, shit would be different, but we're not. So I'm realistic.
Most of the death metal dudes at shows are all deaf anyway.
Yeah.
I know. I'm fucked. So
they'll mosh to anything.
Yeah, if they see arms going like that and mouths going like that, they're like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah. Look, we played a show last week, supporting Exhumed in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it was at the Bendigo, which it's the spirit of death metal there. But to be honest, like over that PA, it all sounds like a car crash with a pulse. You know, just repeated. And I'm an Exhumed fan as well. I didn't stick it out the whole gig. I was just kind of like, oh, I'm having trouble picking out songs here. Neat solos, but so that's the reality of it. If you want the sound, if you want to hear everything, then it's a CD and an LP experience. But yeah, the bass does get lost in all that. Everything gets lost in all that if you're not lucky.
It's true. It's true. But Joe Haley is just, man, the production is just perfect. Like it's one. I was saying to the dudes like our stuff. I was like, man, like this, he just knows what he's doing. He knows exactly how to make everything sort of sit very, very nicely, and I guess you got that relationship now. I mean, his brothers play drums, so they got that community.
It helps.
It helps.
I think the thing that helps with Joe, like apart from him just being like all round talented at whatever he turns his hand to, is he comes from obviously he comes from Psychroptic, where it is very much when it comes to mixes, getting the balance right, everything's got to be audible, sitting just right and stuff.
Yeah. With
Werewolves, there's a lot less going on. Amazingly enough, so there's a bit of leeway to just pump up the violence. At least that's my take on it. And he can take advantage of that. It's not the sort of band where Werewolves isn't the sort of band where you need to hear every single note of what we're doing. It's more about just like the sort of visceral tearing impact of it all. And if we do anything sort of like, with our higher brain and not our like clunky little lizard brain, like that's probably the main thing that we do. We're very focused on making sure that everything we does has like, a very violent and horrible sort of like impact. We don't get lost in any of these like delusions of being, artists and, writing pieces that are going to, emotionally move people and expand our like palette. No, it's not what we're about. So for the skills he has, that would probably make us a bit more of an easy band, as well as the fact that we've all got the experience as well to sort of like listen to a mix and go, wow, this is, usually his first swing, like, he gets it 99% of the way there. Afterwards, we're just like going, this would be good here, this would be good there. We're also really lucky just in general. Like we've sort of got a few people that we work with that like we're kind of stuck with from the get-go. So they know what we're about. And they've all started great and got better. And it's just, it makes things easy for us, really. Joe's one of those. Mitchell would be another. Like, we've been using Rob Brenz as well for photos as well. Like he took that up, what was it, I think last year or maybe even earlier. We've been using it for a bit now, and he's just getting better and now getting into videography. So we're just kind of surrounded by talented people who are just lending us their skills.
It seems like you've got that team, but you've got that same goal. So as you go along with each album, it's only gonna get better. You know what I mean? You guys have that,
we're an easy pitch as well for anyone that we work with. It's not like we have to go, oh, well, we're looking for a folk sort of like metal feel with like, maybe some Celtic like flourishes through there instrumentally, but also like thematically. No. We can just say to people, hey, do you want to help us like make some fuck off music and get up people's noses? And like, the answer is always yes. So, it's very easy for us to like pitch what we do. We can guarantee fun.
And in regards to the title, that's like, it's actually quite thought provoking. You know what I mean? Especially these times. But was there something in the news that
how dare you?
Dragon shit? You're like, it's thoughtful. Was there something in the news that you saw or in society that sort of triggered that for you in particular, or just every day?
Oh, just every day these days it seems to be. Yeah, I think I read something like from one of Terry Pratchett's old books where like he talks about how people make such a big deal about how different they are, but you know, you and a 16th century samurai would practically be identical twins compared to real differences you get between, you know, I guess species or other things or other thoughts out there. Um, and I kind of like just that's a thought that you know returns to me quite a bit. And I've sort of like noticed that screaming on social media, of course, which is you know, especially when you're in a band, it's how you got contact with a lot of people, or a lot of your fans. But just on there, quite often people are just having the biggest arguments over like a 0.01% difference, and they're treating it like an absolute chasm. And as I say, like quite often, yeah, it's two indistinguishable groups of people just going at it, and like you know, not even it's not even just a social media thing. Like you know, I'm still watching the Ukraine-Russian war at the moment, and you got two Slavic peoples who are sort of like, you know, to the point where there's a lot of like, you know, Ukrainians living in Russia and Russians living in Ukraine, and you know, and it's an absolute death match at the moment. Like the Russians have lost their mind. The Ukrainians are obviously fighting to survive, but
Yeah.
you know, if you parachuted me in to the middle of it and I saw a soldier, and I you know, I can't tell you what side they're on.
No.
You know, I'm kind of like, you look exactly the same as everyone else here. You know, there's differences in your language. I understand that, but you know, it doesn't sound massively different either. And it's just seems to be the theme of the last couple of years. Just identical people who have all just lost their minds and are just going at hammer and tong. It's bizarre.
It is. Yeah, man. Yeah. Hard times we're living in. But I mean, that's just shit humans being shit humans in general. Not saying that the people in, you know, that actually came out quite wrong, but just the way people treat each other is what I'm saying. Agreeing with you, is yeah. If they sort of had a look at that, took a step back, and that's why I think that title is actually quite important, considering it's brutal as fuck. And there's that one of my favorite lines. What's that line?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh dear.
Oh, was it? You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a fucking cunt. And dude, hold me back.
Yeah, where it sounds like I'm actually working up to this sort of intellectual point.
Yes.
You know, maybe I shouldn't be yelling people. Maybe I shouldn't be like having goes. Maybe we should get along. Maybe you're a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes down in the States. Like, you know, I know we drop C bombs like napalm over here, you know, with you know, with abandon, but like you know, I know it's a little bit different over there. But yeah, what's death metal if you're not trying to get up, you know,
do you get a little
get up someone or other?
Hey, it is you know, apart from those Canadian guys, like the Archspire guys, which we'll get to a bit later. Yeah, they're a bunch of bad eggs, but they're amazing. They're going to be trouble, and I think there's going to be good times. But I was going to say that the latest single, Destroyer of
Worlds.
Sundays got me. It was taken from a quote by Oppenheimer, who has a little movie. You know, yeah, you know, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and it's a little movie at the moment. I think it's bombing at the box office, but is it though? Oh no, I'll stop. I've been seeing memes anywhere. I know you just like strangle me through the screen, but you know, I obviously that was written before the movie came and was drawn from the quote, the original quote.
Yeah, how's that for a piece of luck?
Coming, or was it something that was just on your radar?
Something that was on my radar, like I wanted to change the title for quite a while. To me, it sounded, a lot of the song titles that we got are, either ridiculously brutal or kind of hilarious in a dark way. And that one just sounded like, very level and straight. But I just couldn't think up anything better than that to use. So we ended up going with it. And as it turns out, stroke of luck.
Man.
It wasn't so much Oppenheimer I had in mind, or even necessarily nuclear weapons. It was just the idea that like the most destructive thing, at least these days, is a terrible shit leader. And yeah, they're not exactly hard to pick out. Which is, why I snuck in like, some Bible Proverbs verses in there describing to a T what a shit leader looks like and to look out for. And, here we are a couple of thousand years later, and apparently primitives have one over us. Like, so that was what I was like, I guess that was the point I was like throwing my fucking spear at. Just how much more damaging and destructive like a shit leader can be. Not enough to have like, the devastating tool lying around. That's only half the equation. The other half is the lunatic beating their chest, like dragging a nation along with them to hit that red button and ruin everything.
Yeah, no, that's right. And
that sounded like I just made a point.
It make a point. See?
Yeah.
Very thought-provoking stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. But it is a shame that they didn't actually use it in the movie. You know what I mean? Like title goes up, the titles, and then there's that playing. It's a missed up. Maybe for the sequel. Maybe they'll use it for the sequel. Who knows?
Fuck off, Hans Zimmer. Let us in. That'd be great.
He's just that'd be cool. Hey, imagine that.
Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Don't make me imagine money like doing death metal. Fucking hell. You'll cave my brain
in. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. Yeah.
We'd
never say no. We leave the saying no to the rest of the world when it comes to that.
How funny would it be if we got that phone call? Go, this is Hans Zimmer. I don't know how he actually talks. And he go, let's say he does.
It's good.
The werewolves. Now I don't always sounds like Dracula. Anyway, but
dude, I'd probably do what Matt did the time he got a phone call from Man of War. Like I'd probably get the call and it'd be like, fuck off, who is this? Yes. No, really, who is this? Slam.
It's your friend Hans. Yeah, I don't know if he talks like that, but
I'd be like, bullshit, I don't have any friends. Beat it.
Yeah. Take that, Christopher Nolan. I'm digging myself a hole tonight. But I saw you guys in Brisbane. You had to put up with my drunken ass in Brisbane. I apologize.
Oh, that's fantastic. It was great to see you.
It was good to see you, my friend. But I did smash back too many in a short amount of time. But you guys were just fucking unreal. And it was one of the best shows. I had the best time. And that was your first sort of real run with the band, wasn't it?
Yeah. Before that, it was just like individual shows. We don't really plan ahead. So when the opportunity for a tour came up, like let alone like with Mayhem and Ulcerate, like, yeah, I'm going to be going to that gig anyway. So yeah, if I can be on it and touring as well, like it's great. But yeah, we wanted to see how we go doing a tour of playing this stuff a few days in a row, because it is really, really, really hard to play. It's energetic, and we're not kind of like the sort of band where we're sort of like standing still or like, perched on a stool trying to like make sure like every note is a nail. We try and, do everything we can to get that energy across, and there's a lot of energy to get across. So that's a long way of saying every time we play a show, we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked afterwards. We were kind of like, well, I should say, I was like, what was it, 4 shows No, oh my God, 4 shows in a row. Like, will I get through it all? The answer is yes. The other thing that we wanted to find out as well, like, and you kind of need to find out early enough when you're in a band,
Yeah.
is how you guys go on the road. There's a lot of bands where they get out on the road and one or two people just like, turn into assholes. Or don't pull their weights or just, treat everyone like shit. So it was also kind of like a sense of let's get out on the road and find out, if we all get along. And the answer was yes. Like, and we didn't do it too easy either. Like, we were making sure we were staying in like, the airport ibises and stuff, and 3 to a room in the bunks and shit. And it was great. Like, everything went smooth. We had a great time. Like, every show was good fun. Brisbane was fun. I remember there was some guy yelling shit out. That was that was funny. Hopefully he's back for the next one, like yelling more shit. But
Yeah.
yeah, just like it was a really good time. Not only just like with those other bands, but also just playing. And yeah, there was a sense that every show we were doing, we were like getting better at bringing it. So this next tour, like, it's going to start in Brisbane.
Man, I can't wait. Like we're going as a band. Like we're talking about every week. We got on our little band calendar. Because Jaymes, our guitarist, his favorite band of all time is Archspire. And it was funny that Ollie was at that show in Brisbane.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was not only was Ollie there, but also Luke from Berzerker was there as well. And the guys look almost identical.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think it was just after Luke left, then Ollie turned up, and it was just kind of like, it was the moment was a bit like that. But yeah, no, Brisbane was good fun. Like, I think the Dis and Tomb boys showed up as well. So like, it was a good night for catching up with people I haven't seen for a while. But I know what you mean about Archspire. Like, I'm one of these grumpy old pricks where if the band wasn't around making death metal and Morrisound in like the 90s, I do not care for them. But a guy down here in Adelaide one year, like it was on the Psychroptic Archspire tour, he dragged me along to him. It's John from the old Adelaide band Omnium Gatherum. He sort of like got onto me randomly one night and was just like, you got to see this band, you got to see this band. And I was like, were they around in the 90s? And he's like, shut up and come to the fucking show. So I turned up and I was blown away. I hadn't seen, it wasn't just the fact that they were that fast or that heavy, but just the production was absolutely gorgeous. Like, it wasn't just an amazing performance, but it was amazing sounding, and it brought the full benefit of being in a venue with a big PA to the show, where normally that works against, as I said earlier, it works against metal bands because it just sounds like someone's turned the dishwasher on and just fucking amplified the shit out of it.
Yep.
Whereas those guys, it was just like, it was crushing. It was fucking crushing. So the idea that I get to see that now, like, 5 days in a row in October, I'm just like, Christmas.
I can't. We can't wait. Like, it's going to be, I was like, I'm on board. Like Werewolves, and
we're gonna play extra fast so we can get the fuck off stage and sort of like just wipe the sweat out of our eyes, shove Ingested on, get everything like moving and rolling so we can like, get Archspire on and see that shit.
Fuck, it's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait. And you know what? They are a bunch of really good dudes. Like Ollie's a really nice dude. Like they're just really cool. Yeah. So I think it's
for a wild man, he's always been nice to speak to whenever I've met him. So yeah, look forward to it. And also, seeing the other guys. I've got a conundrum to like sort out in Adelaide though. The youngest in my household, the 13-year-old, she saw an Archspire clip and she sort of like, she goes, yeah, we got a drum kit here. She's learning drums. She's like, can I get to see him play? Can I get to meet him? And I'm like, oh. I don't know, dude.
Oh man, they'd be the
See
kind.
what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk for them, but I think they'd be all over that because they just seem like real down to earth dudes.
Yeah.
They're just awesome. I can't wait, man. And of course, Zoom's about to kick us off in a minute. One last question: What's looking for the future of Werewolves? Are you looking at kicking over Europe or the States, or are you just number 5 is on the way?
Well, yeah, obviously, like, we're going to simultaneously release a new album, finish recording like album 5. And we've got this tour to look forward to. But yeah, obviously the big, I guess, area of growth for us is the live show.
Yep.
And we've had a few talks about, like, throwing around ideas for 2024. Obviously we want to keep playing. And any other tours that turn up, like, we'll be interested in, as well as festivals. We love festivals. We've all played that many shows where, like, playing a small pub to, 50 to 100 people is cute, but we'd prefer 1,000, even if they're not there to see us. But let me see. We have had some discussions about overseas. Obviously, got to work that around the other bands. We're all just in too many goddamn bands, but it's something that we're open to. Maybe not so much perhaps the States. That's a real commitment. Maybe further along in the future. But if you were to, say to me, what's 2 things that you guys hope to get done in 2024? We'd like to do a headline show.
Yep.
We'd like to see if we're able to do it, seeing as though we're nearly dying just doing half an hour at the moment. And yeah, wouldn't mind trying an overseas show as well, like whether that's nearby or whether that's something like over to Europe for a couple of weeks. We'll see. Everything we do in this band, as opposed to everything else, is not deliberate whatsoever, and there's no grand strategy or a grand plan that we're sort of adhering to. So we just kind of like do one thing at a time. We're like, oh, that was fun. Let's do something else. Like, that's how we get by. So yeah, it's really hard to sort of like go, we're going to do this, 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 this. We don't have a whiteboard with goals written down or anything. We'll wing it. It seems to have worked for us so far.
It does work. It does, and it all falls into place every album. And dude, this new one it's so brutal. You just keep coming out with the goods.
Thank you very much, Lou. One of the things we did say when we heard the mixes for this album, album number 4, My Enemies Look and Sound Like Me, we did look at each other and just go, how do we beat this? I don't know if we can beat this. We'll see.
And I think, you will. But in the meantime, we'll have all the links down here and on the website. Sam, as always, I'll see you in Brisbane. But brother, you take care, and all the best, man, to you and the boys. Go kick.
Thank you very much, dude. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Looking forward to the catch up.
Yeah, let's go. And I'll bring all the vinyl and all the stuff, and I'll throw monies at you. All of it.
We'll sign it all.
Yeah. Throw dicks on my vinyl. No, don't do that, please. But anyway, man, I hope things, get better for you as well at the moment too. Outside.
Yeah, 2023 sucks ass.
Done.
Thanks, man.
Next title.